Kate stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hands over her green dress. She looked fine, but she didn't feel ready. In her arms, she held a warm dish of sweet potatoes, the same one she brought every Christmas. She took a deep breath and walked into the big dining room at her mother-in-law's house. The table looked perfect. Fancy plates, shiny glasses, and folded napkins. Everything had to be just right at Linda's house. Kate used to think it was special, but now she just felt nervous. "Kate, you brought your little dish again," Linda said with a fake smile, giving her a quick kiss on the cheek. "Yes, sweet potatoes. Derek loves them," Kate said, trying to sound cheerful. Linda looked at the dish and moved one of hers aside. "Well, I guess we can squeeze it in somewhere." A few minutes later, Derek arrived and gave Kate a fast kiss on the head. He didn't say much. He was already busy talking to his brother about their ski trip. Kate placed her dish at the far end of the table and sat down next to him. She looked around. Everyone else was laughing, talking, and pouring wine. They all seemed so comfortable. When it was time for the main course, Linda stood up to serve. She smiled and carved the ham like it was a big event. One by one, she gave everyone thick, juicy slices. But when she got to Kate, her smile grew sharper. She placed a dark, burnt piece of ham on Kate's plate, then some overcooked green beans and gluey mashed potatoes. It looked awful. "Portion control, dear," Linda said loudly. "Some of us don't need extra calories anyway." The table went quiet for a second. Then a few people laughed, not sure what else to do. Derek looked down and didn't say anything. Kate looked at her plate, holding her fork tight. She wanted to cry but didn't. "Thanks, Linda. Smells great," she said quietly, forcing a small smile. She picked at the burnt ham while her sweet potatoes sat untouched at the end of the table. No one said a word, and once again Kate sat there, pretending everything was okay. Kate reflects on her marriage to Derek, how quickly things moved, how charming he was at first. She remembers the way he smiled, how he brought her flowers, how he said she was different from anyone he had ever met. It felt like a dream. After just a few months of dating, he proposed. She said yes without thinking too much. She wanted to feel safe. She wanted to belong somewhere. At first, everything seemed perfect. Derek had a good job. He came from a big, close-knit family. They had holiday dinners, birthday parties, family trips. Kate had never experienced anything like that before. She grew up in foster care, moving from house to house. No parents, no real home, no traditions. So when she met Derek's family, especially his mother Linda, she wanted so badly to fit in. She wanted this to finally be her family too. But there were signs, small ones at first. Kate remembered the time she and Derek were planning their wedding. Linda took over everything. She picked the venue without asking. She changed the guest list. She even bought Kate's wedding dress, a style that Kate didn't like, but wore anyway to keep the peace. Kate had tried to talk to Derek about it. "I just want to make some decisions too," she told him. He kissed her forehead and said, "It's just how my mum is. She means well. Don't take it personally." She wanted to believe him, so she stayed quiet, again and again. After they got married, things didn't get better. Linda showed up at their house uninvited, sometimes even using a spare key Derek gave her without telling Kate. She commented on everything, how Kate dressed, what she cooked, how clean the house was. Kate smiled through it all. She didn't want to seem ungrateful. "I'm lucky to have in-laws at all," she would tell herself. Derek always shrugged it off. "She just wants to help," he'd say. "Don't make a big deal out of it." But it was a big deal. Kate started to feel smaller in her own home. She had given up a full-time job to freelance from home, and Linda made comments about that too, calling it a hobby instead of a career. Once, Linda even brought job listings for receptionist positions and left them on the kitchen counter. Kate didn't say anything. She just threw them away when no one was looking. There were nights when Derek came home and barely spoke to her, only to spend hours on the phone with his mother. Kate would sit alone at the kitchen table, eating dinner by herself. She stopped bringing up her feelings. Each time she tried, Derek made her feel like she was being dramatic or too sensitive. "You know how she is," he'd repeat. But Kate began to wonder, why was it always her who had to understand? She thought about her past, all those Christmases she spent alone, all the birthdays no one remembered. She had promised herself she would never be alone again. That's why she tried so hard. That's why she accepted so much. She thought if she just stayed kind, stayed helpful, they would accept her, love her. But no matter what she did, she still felt like an outsider. Even during the holidays, Kate felt like she was performing. dressing the way Linda liked, cooking only the dishes Linda approved of. She felt more like a guest than a daughter-in-law. Derek never noticed, or maybe he didn't care enough to. Kate thought about last Christmas. She had made a chocolate pie from scratch, the way her foster mother used to. She was proud of it. But when she brought it out, Linda gave a tight smile and said, "Oh, we already have desserts, dear. Maybe next time ask before bringing something." The pie sat untouched on the counter while everyone praised Linda's store-bought cheesecake. Later that night, Kate had cried quietly in the bathroom, wiping her tears before Derek saw. When she told him how she felt, he just laughed. "It's just pie, Katie. You're too emotional." That was the moment she stopped trying to share her past with him. Kate sat now in their quiet house, remembering all of this. The silence felt heavy. She glanced at the couch where Derek had fallen asleep last night watching TV, too tired to even ask how her day was, and she realized she was still alone, even with a husband, even with a family. Her phone buzzed on the table. A message from Linda. "Don't forget the shrimp dish for New Year's. Everyone prefers my recipe, but you can bring yours again if you want." Kate stared at it for a long time before locking the screen and putting the phone face down. She wasn't sure how much longer she could keep doing this, but for now, she did what she always did. She stayed quiet. She smiled when it hurt, because being part of a family, even a painful one, still felt better than having no one. At least that's what she told herself. After the burnt food incident, Kate excused herself from the table, telling everyone she was going to help clean up. Her stomach was still tight from the insult, but she forced a small smile and carried a few dishes into the kitchen. She needed a break from all the fake laughter, the way no one had stood up for her, not even Derek. The kitchen was already half clean. Linda had sent the housekeeper home early to make a show of doing things by hand, like real women used to. Kate began stacking plates and scraping leftovers into the bin, her back turned to the swinging door. Then she heard voices. "I mean, she's still trying to prove she belongs," Linda said with a sharp little laugh. "It's sad, isn't it?" Kate froze. Derek's voice came next, lower, but just as cold. "Yeah, she's too sensitive. You say anything and she turns it into some emotional crisis." Linda huffed. "She doesn't understand how this family works. I've been patient, but honestly, I think we both know she wasn't the right choice." Derek laughed again. "Well, it's too late now. Besides, she's harmless." Kate stood completely still, hands wet and cold from the dishwater. Her chest felt tight. They weren't just ignoring Linda's cruelty. They enjoyed it. They thought she was weak, a joke. She backed away slowly, careful not to make a sound, and stepped out through the side door into the hall. Her legs felt shaky as she climbed the stairs to the guest bedroom they always made her sleep in when they stayed over. She closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at her hands. All this time, she had believed Derek was just stuck between her and his mother, trying to keep the peace. She had made excuses for him, told herself he was kind deep down, but now she knew. He wasn't caught in the middle. He was choosing a side, and it wasn't hers. Later that night, back home, Derek acted like everything was normal. He kicked off his shoes, turned on the TV, and asked if they still had any wine left. Kate said nothing. She waited until he fell asleep on the couch, then walked into his home office. She'd never gone through his drawers before. It felt wrong, but tonight, something was different. A knot had formed in her chest, and she couldn't untie it without knowing the truth. She opened the bottom drawer where he kept his files. Inside, she found a black folder labeled prenup, final copy. Her hands trembled as she opened it. She hadn't remembered signing anything like this. Before the wedding, he had told her they didn't need a prenup. "What's mine is yours," he had said with a kiss. But here it was. At the bottom of the last page, there was a signature, her name, but the handwriting didn't look right. It was close, but off, like someone had tried to copy it. The document said that in the event of divorce, Kate would receive nothing. No share in the house, no money, nothing. Her head spun. He had forged her signature. He had lied to her, not just once. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planned. He had protected himself while telling her they were equal. He had smiled at her with love while writing her out of everything. Kate sat on the office floor, the folder open on her lap. The air felt too thick to breathe. Was she just something to bring home? Someone to fill a seat at the table and keep quiet? Had he ever really loved her? Or had she just been convenient? Her mind raced. She thought about the years she had spent trying to fit in. The dinners, the birthdays, The times she let Linda walk all over her because she thought love meant patience. She felt sick. Part of her wanted to wake Derek up, throw the folder in his face, scream at him. But what would he do? He would lie, twist it, call her emotional, sensitive, just like he always did. Another part of her wanted to run, to pack a bag and leave without a word. But where would she go? Who would believe her? She had no family, no one to call. And Derek, he had money, lawyers, his family behind him. All she had was her truth, her anger, her heart, now broken in two. Kate placed the folder back in the drawer, but she didn't close it. She sat in the dark for a long time, the hum of the fridge and the soft murmur of the TV, the only sounds in the house. Everything had changed, and no matter what came next, Kate knew this. She could never be the same again. Kate withdraws emotionally. She moves through the house like a ghost, doing laundry, answering emails, cooking meals, but never really there. She doesn't joke with Derek like she used to. She stops asking him about his day. Even her voice becomes quieter, like she's afraid to take up space. Derek notices. At first, he just makes short comments. "You've been weird lately," or "You're being distant." But when Kate doesn't snap out of it, he grows colder, sharper. He stops saying goodnight. He eats dinner in silence or in front of the TV. One night, when she finally speaks up and asks if they can talk, he sighs and says, "Not everything's about you, Kate. You overthink everything." Linda, meanwhile, becomes bolder. She starts coming by unannounced again, 3, sometimes 4 times a week. She brings groceries she knows Kate didn't ask for, criticizes how Kate folds towels, and comments on how messy the house looks, even when it's spotless. She starts making decisions without asking, once even using a joint account to take out $5,000 for a family investment opportunity that Kate had never heard of. When Kate questioned it, Linda smiled and said, "It's just business, dear. Derek and I discussed it. You wouldn't really understand all the detail." Kate stood there in silence, her throat closing, because Derek hadn't said a word to her about it. And when she asked him later, he simply said, "She needed it. It's not a big deal." Kate began to feel like she was disappearing. When she tried talking to a couple of friends, women she knew through Derek's work events, they were polite, but distant. "I'm sure she doesn't mean it like that," one said. Another added, "Linda's intense, but at least she's involved. That's rare, honestly." That night, Kate took a long bath. The water was warm, the lights dim, but she couldn't breathe. Her chest felt like it was being squeezed, and no matter how deeply she inhaled, the air wouldn't go in. Her heart pounded. Her limbs felt heavy. The ceiling seemed to bend above her. She curled up in the tub, shaking, arms wrapped around her knees, the water turning cold around her. Her mind raced. What's wrong with me? Why can't I fix this? Why won't he see what's happening to me? Tears rolled down her cheeks, quiet and slow, until there were none left. Later, wrapped in a towel on the bathroom floor, she looked at herself in the mirror. Pale skin, tired eyes, lips trembling. She didn't recognize the woman staring back. The next morning, Kate sat at her desk and pulled out the prenup again. Her heart didn't race this time. It was quiet now, like a still flame, small but steady. She read through it carefully, every word, every line. She flipped to the back and stared at the signature again, her name. But it wasn't her handwriting. She opened her laptop and began to search. How to prove a forged signature. Prenup handwriting analyst. Legal proof of forgery. For the first time in weeks, her hands stopped shaking. She wasn't crazy. Something had been done to her. Something real. Something wrong. And maybe, just maybe, she could do something about it. She closed her browser and looked around her small home office, her old college art pinned on the wall, her client files stacked neatly in the corner, her whole world in this little room. Linda had called her job a cute hobby. Derek once told her, "You don't really need to work." But sitting there, staring at that forged prenup and the quiet, steady tabs open on her screen, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Anger, not the hot, loud kind, the deep, focused kind, the kind that stays. She didn't know what would come next, but she knew this. She was done feeling small. Kate secretly visits a small office across town. The handwriting expert is a calm older woman named Judith. She looks over the prenup slowly, comparing it with samples of Kate's real signature. After several minutes, she looks up and says gently, "This was not written by you. It's a forgery." Kate feels like the floor drops out beneath her, but at the same time, a strange sense of relief. She's not crazy. She knew something was wrong. She thanks Judith and takes the report home, her fingers trembling around the envelope. That night, she hides it in a box under the bed. Along with a flash drive, she starts filling with scanned copies of everything: bank withdrawals, receipts, photos of bruises from when she tripped during an argument, journal entries. She starts documenting everything: dates, times, conversations. If Derek mentions anything about money or Linda's surprise visits, she writes it down. She records voice memos when no one is home, quietly speaking about things she can't tell anyone yet. One afternoon, she finds an old contact in her phone, Maya, a former co-worker from when she worked at a design firm years ago. They hadn't spoken in a while, but Kate texts her on impulse. Maya responds quickly and warmly. "Of course I remember you. Are you okay?" They talk on the phone for over an hour. At first, Kate doesn't share much, just that she's going through something difficult. But little by little it comes out. The controlling mother-in-law, the isolation, the forged prenup. Maya listens without interrupting. When Kate finishes, her voice shaking, Maya says, "You need to talk to a lawyer. Like now. What they've done is not just toxic, it's illegal." For the first time in a long time, Kate feels believed. Maya gives her a name, someone she works with, a divorce attorney who specializes in high conflict cases and financial fraud. Kate hesitates. It still feels terrifying, like she's about to start a war she's not strong enough to finish. But a week later, while Derek is at a work conference, she goes to the attorney's office. The consultation room is quiet, the lights soft. The lawyer, Amanda, is kind but direct. Kate shows her the forged prenup, the withdrawal records, and her notes. Amanda nods carefully. "This is serious," she says. "But you have a case. You're not alone." Those words stay with Kate. She walks out of that office into the cold afternoon wind, gripping her coat tight. Her heart is still racing, but it's not panic anymore. It's movement, direction. She doesn't have all the answers yet. She still doesn't know how Derek will react or what Linda will do. But for the first time, she's not just reacting, she's fighting. Kate serves Derek with divorce papers during a fancy Sunday brunch Linda had planned, complete with crystal glasses, white tablecloths, and a family-only guest list. The timing is no accident. Everyone's there, the cousins, the aunts, even Linda's church friends. As the waiter pours mimosas, Kate stands up calmly and slides the envelope across the table to Derek. "What's this?" he asks, already frowning. "Divorce papers," she says evenly, "along with evidence of your forgery. I know everything." The table goes silent. Derek's face drains of color. Linda leans in, voice sharp. "Kate, sit down. This is a family gathering." Kate turns to her, her voice steady. "You're not my family. Not anymore." Linda opens her mouth, but no words come out. She looks around, embarrassed, sputtering. Derek stammers, "We can talk about this at home." "No." Kate cuts him off. "There's nothing left to talk about. I've already filed. I know what you did. I have proof. You don't get to spin this." She picks up a small suitcase she'd tucked near her chair. Everything else, clothes, photos, furniture, she's leaving behind. She doesn't want it. She walks out as Linda calls her name in a shrill, broken voice. But Kate doesn't turn back. She's done being quiet. She's done being small. This time, she's free. In court, Derek sits stiffly in his suit, trying to look composed. Linda's beside him, dressed like she's attending a charity gala, glaring across the aisle at Kate, like this is some social inconvenience she can steamroll. Derek's lawyer begins by arguing that the prenuptial agreement is valid. "It was signed willingly," the lawyer claims. "Mrs. Whitman," he adds, emphasizing Kate's married name, "benefited from this marriage and now seeks more than agreed." Kate doesn't flinch. She nods to her attorney, who calmly stands and hands over the report from the handwriting expert. The judge reads it silently, then looks at Derek over the top of his glasses. This signature does not match the verified handwriting samples of the respondent, the judge says firmly. "This agreement is void. It will not be considered in the division of assets." Derek's jaw tightens. Linda whispers something harsh in his ear. They both look like they've been slapped. But it doesn't stop there. Kate's lawyer begins to outline the evidence of financial manipulation, unauthorized bank withdrawals, Linda's control over joint accounts, a pattern of emotional coercion that painted a clear picture of abuse. Kate remains quiet throughout, her hands folded. face calm. When the judge rules, his voice is steady. Given the evidence of forgery and misconduct, this court awards Mrs. Kate Reynolds. He uses her maiden name, an equal share of marital assets, including 50% equity of the primary residence. Linda gasps audibly. Derek just stares ahead, stunned. But the true twist comes after court. Outside the courthouse, Maya meets Kate on the steps with a tight hug. "You did it." Kate smiles, exhausted but calm. "I started saving 5 years ago. Every extra freelance job, every gift check. I opened a private account under my maiden name, just in case." She now has her rightful share of the marital assets and her own nest egg. She isn't walking away with nothing. She's walking away with everything she built for herself, in secret, in silence, in strength. Derek walks by a few minutes later, phone pressed to his ear, too proud to look at her. Linda follows, her heels clicking hard against the pavement, red-faced and muttering. Kate doesn't look at them. She looks up at the sky, clear, open, light. She walks down the courthouse steps, her spine straight, her shoulders high. No one saved her. She saved herself. Kate sits on a small couch in her new apartment, wrapped in a soft blanket, hands curled around a warm mug of coffee. It's quiet, but not the kind of silence that hurts. This one feels calm, safe. In the corner, a small Christmas tree glows. Simple ornaments, soft white lights. It's not grand or expensive, but it's hers. Every piece, every light, placed with care. On the coffee table lies a folded letter from Maya. Just a few words, handwritten in purple ink. "Proud of you. You did the hard thing. You got out. I hope you never forget that." Kate reads it again, smiling to herself. Her phone buzzes with a new email, a job offer from a design firm she admired back in college. Full-time, good pay. They loved her portfolio. She doesn't cry, not this time. She just exhales and lets the relief settle into her bones. On the shelf nearby, there's an old photo she recently found while packing. Her as a little girl, maybe 7 years old, in a Christmas sweater 2 sizes too big, sitting alone by a tiny tree in her first foster home. Kate picks it up and studies the girl's face. That girl used to dream of being loved, of belonging. She gently touches the frame and whispers, "I got you out." And she did. Kate sets the photo down, takes another sip of coffee, and leans back. Outside, snow begins to fall. Inside, peace. Hey besties, thanks so much for watching all the way through. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories. See you soon. Bye.